Hey, how's it going? Today, I want to go over a very important topic. It's a topic that everybody keeps asking me about. How often should you draw if you want to get better at this craft? And at least the optimal way, right? What's the shortest road? And I'm going to give you the short answer first. The answer is constantly, at all times. Here's the truth. When I was first learning to draw, I picked this up at a pretty rapid pace. There's were people that were faster, than I was, but it took me about 2 years till I could actually get a job drawing. And previous to that, I hadn't drawn almost anything, like literally nothing. Like in high school, it's kind of I didn't really do much at all. I really started drawing at around 18, 17, 18, around there, and I started out with a teacher that pretty much trained me, pushed me all the way through. Obviously, now we have the internet and we can kind of train ourselves in a way, right? And I have another video on that, so don't worry. But I do want to talk about how often you should. And if you're a beginner, which I'm assuming you are close to a beginner, that's kind of what we're going to zero in on. If you play the piano or the violin or anything like that, right? And if you practice once a week, or let's imagine someone else practicing the violin once a month, like which one of those do you think is going to get better quicker, right? It's obviously going to be the person who's doing it once a week. What about someone who does it every day, right? So there's a balancing point. There's a tipping point. There's a point at which you're doing it so much and you're in danger of burning out. And that is the point where your mind is full, the stress is building, it's no longer fun at all, and you just want to go home and you're like, you know what, I want to quit this, right? That would be like burnout. You're mentally exhausted, and not in a good way, not in a good fun way. You're like, wow, I really thought that was cool. I had to figure that out, and it was fun to figure out that puzzle. I'm talking about like burnout, where you're just doing it way too much, and this isn't fun. This is not what we got into it for. You're gonna have to find that balance for yourself. I'll give you an example. For me, I was drawing 7 hours a day when I first started drawing. I was totally fine with that. It was completely fine for me. I know a very close friend of mine, let's call him Bill. Bill would draw, he would get mentally exhausted from drawing longer than, I don't know, like 30 minutes. I remember that. Because he was just starting, he was a hobbyist, and he was just drawing a little bit here and there. That was his hobby. And he was kind of exhausted because we would go along and draw like for 3 hours in a row, me and my other buddy. So, yeah, you got to find that point. But I will say it does change over time, which I've never heard anybody talk about this one. It changes. Your ability to do stuff changes gradually over time. So with time and the task. So in the beginning, you're thinking very hard, especially when you're learning these drawing methods, these proper drawing methods. And when you're learning properly, you're having to think, right, about what you're doing. And it kind of drains you a bit, right? And it drains some people faster than others. And pretty soon, after an hour of thinking about how to draw something, right? Let's say you learned something you're trying to apply, and you're trying to learn, I don't know, structure. And if you're trying to learn structure and you're thinking about it really hard, it's gonna be tiring, But you do it again the next time, still tiring. You're still thinking about like a head construction or something. You do it again. You think about the head construction. Okay, you do it again, fourth time. Let's say you do it fourth time on the fourth day. Could be 2 weeks or something, within 2 week times or something, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, you did it, but you did it a little bit quicker, and you used a little bit less energy mentally because it's starting to just be there now, and then you do it again and again and again, and you do it maybe the I don't know, the 20th time. You're doing it, and you're no longer tired. You're no longer tired anymore. You're just like, oh wow, okay, cool, because that process has already been worked out in your mind, and you got it there, right? And then even now, for example, I'll still get tired when I draw like, I don't know, a car or something like that, because I don't draw a lot of cars, and I have to like look stuff up, and I have to like focus a lot. So you just keep doing it, and if you do it properly, you will use less of your energy, and it just your whole paradigm starts to shift. And that's with every skill, right? But this is obviously like something you need to really focus on a little bit, at least when you're learning it. until eventually it starts to become second nature, and and then some. As far as drawing goes, if you want to get past that beginner stage very quickly, and I've talked about this in another video about like just getting clean lines, for example, in that other video, which you can check out below. Very, very valuable video on cleaning up your lines if you're brand new. If you really want to blast through that beginner stage, draw every day, every moment you can, right? Especially if you don't have work right now, or like let's just say you have school, you don't have as much. If you actually have the time to do it, use that time. But the important is you have to be careful not to burn out. And I'll be honest, it's very rare for beginners to burn out, in my opinion. I think people say that as a way to validate, like kind of excuse themselves from doing a lot of it. But it's very hard to burn out. Like I was drawing 7 days a week, 5 to 7 hours a day before I burned out totally. So I would say maybe like even aim for burnout if you can do that in the beginning, in the very beginning. And you have to do it properly too. If you don't know how to construct something, it's going to be much worse. So look at videos online. It could be my videos. It could be somebody else's program or anything like that. I have a program which I'm launching as well. You want to follow the correct way to do it. But yeah, I hope that helped. I know that was a bit of a long road right there. Staying positive on this is also incredibly important. I've talked about that. I'll make a whole different video on that topic. But I would say depends on you. If you don't even know where to start and you're completely at the beginning and you don't have 7 days a week, I would say try for small iterations spread across the week rather than one long session. So for example, do maybe 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week or 4 days a week, whatever it is that you can do. Do little iterations instead of doing 1 day a week in like 5 hours, if you had to pick one or the other. The reason I say that is because you want your mind to snap into drawing mode. You want to teach it to go from 0 to like in drawing mode, like multiple times a week. So you're just like pre-ready. So you don't even have to warm up as much. So that's what I recommend if you're a beginner. If you're intermediate, obviously you know kind of how to make your own map by now. You have a good idea of where you should be. And if you're advanced, a lot of that stuff, you can kind of do it less. Obviously you want to do it more and more as you get advanced, but you do kind of, spread that out. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. I want to hear what's your opinion in the comments. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think, no, a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. But let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll get back to you, all right? I'll talk to you down there.